The special guest of this ceremony, a good friend of Nepal and the Nepalese people, Mr. Mohammad Al-Tublani from Bahrain. Our special guest, former mayor of Brent Council, Mr. Bhagwanji Chauhan. Special guest, the Executive Director of National Tea and Coffee Development Board of Nepal, Mr. Deepak Khanna. Distinguished Vice President of Britain-Nepal Society, Mr. Mohant Shrestha. Distinguished Chairman of Britain-Nepal Chamber of Commerce, Dr. Kapil Rizal. Coordinator of Travels and Tours Committee of Visit Nepal, High-Level Committee of the United Kingdom, Mr. Biraj Bhatta. Friends from media, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, namaskar and very good evening. It is my great pleasure and privilege to extend a warm welcome to all the guests to this special ceremony focusing on the Visit Nepal year 2020 with the theme of Nepal for all seasons. I take this opportunity to offer sincere greetings to you all on the auspicious occasion of the World Tourism Day today. The post-earthquake period was undoubtedly a challenging period for Nepal's tourism industry. During this difficult time, the international community demonstrated their affinity and magnanimity and extended overwhelming support and cooperation to Nepal and the Nepalese people. Nepal has been declared not only as a republic, nation state, but it's declared as federal state. So we have 7 provinces, and the government has announced and has been implementing at least 10 new tourist destinations to be opened in each province. The Nepalese government has also planned to expedite the reconstruction of quake-damaged heritage sites, promotion of homestay and cultural sites, and tourism publicity in the friendly countries, including in the United Kingdom. We are pleased to share a good news that the government of Nepal has also decided to open the international airport in Kathmandu for 21 hours every day in order to reduce the pressure on the airport and ensure quality services. We will be making cooperation and collaboration with the Nepalese community in the United Kingdom, Malta, and Ireland as well. We will also urge and encourage you all, the representatives of tours and travel agencies, to come together with the embassy to make the campaign of Visit Nepal year 2020 successful. In this context, the Embassy of Nepal will be pleased to welcome your efforts and supports to organize tourism-related programs and to come forward with your special programs highlighting Nepal. We will be delighted to support and cooperate with your endeavors to project Nepal as a safe, secure, beautiful, peaceful, and best value tourist destination of the present day world. Finally, I take this opportunity to express my sincere thanks to Mr. Biraj Bhatta for coordinating today's special ceremony focusing on the Visit Nepal year 2020. Mr. Bhatta has been involved in the travel and tours sector for more than a decade? 2 decades. For more than 2 decades, and has contributed significantly to the promotion of Nepal's tourism industry. Mr. Bhatta has been contributing to the promotion of trade and investment of Nepal as the newly elected Vice Chair of the Britain-Nepal Chamber of Commerce. The Embassy of Nepal has appointed Mr. Bhatta as the coordinator of the Travels and Tours Committee of the High-Level Campaign from the United Kingdom. I hope and believe that under the wise, able, and active leadership of Mr. Bhatta, we will be able to send more than 100,000 British tourists to Nepal next year.
I now invite Mr. Biraj Bhatta to make his presentation on Visit Nepal 2020. Mr. Bhatta is a director of nepaltours.com, a division of Travel Council. He is in travel business for 2 decades and runs travel companies both in the UK and Nepal. He is actively involved and supporting many social and cultural and charitable events by Nepalese diaspora in the UK. He also played a key role. He was involved in the relief effort following the earthquake in Nepal. He is also involved with an active role as a vice chairman in BNCC. Currently, Mr. Bhatta is working as a coordinator to Travel and Tour Promotion Committee for Visit Nepal year 2020. Mr. Bhatta, floor is yours.
Thank you, Saraji. Thank you for the nice introduction. Your Excellency the Ambassador, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It's a bit, challenging for me when I speak to so many of travel veterans in front of me. Just to give you some start on Visit Nepal 2020, the lifetime experience. Before I go on to my slides, Nepal has been always an independent country. We actually celebrated 200 years bicentennial relationship on 2016 only. So before I came to this country, I have worked in Nepal as an incoming tour operator. I have traveled many parts of the country, east to west, south to north. I have visited many caves. I have visited many monasteries. And I've seen a lot of monks, a lot of rishis, lots of yogis using this land for their practices. At that time, I wasn't aware of what exactly is going on there. But later on, when I settled here, come to this country, and I paid visit again, obviously I'm in the travel industry, so I go often there, then I realized it is actually, Nepal is the only country which is practicing 10,000 years old Sanatan Dharma. It's still the only country where this culture is still in existence and pretty much alive. The idea of Visit Nepal 2020 is not just to send people to Nepal. It's not just about the number games. It's about awakening spiritual Nepal. I will come back to you on this one on my slides when I go through it. Obviously, there will come quite a lot of these things coming up. Let's go to the slides. Before that, I would like to just clarify with what our DCM said. We have some raffles tonight. There is a 7 days packages, and obviously there's some vouchers coming up. So let's carry on with our slides. I know you're all from travel industry and media, well-educated and well-informed people, so I'll not go too much with the fact and figures, which you can extract easily on the internet. But there are some information that I must go with. Oh, it's not working?
Yes, it's working.
Oh, it's working now. That's fine. Right, you can see the red dot on the top on the world map. That's the Nepal, which is north of India. The overview of the country, Nepal is actually 93rd biggest in terms of land mass. So it's actually the size of England and Wales combined, just to give you the perspective from UK. 147 square kilometers, which you can see it. Geographically, Nepal is very diverse and very rich. In terms of geographical climatic conditions, the land elevation varies from 60 meters to 8,848 meters. What that means is you can have Arctic conditions to the tropical condition within the 150 kilometers distance. That allows all kind of fauna and flora to exist. There are over 8,000 types of birds, 800 species of birds, I should say. The population is approximately 31 million at the moment. It makes Nepal 49th biggest country in terms of population size. English is widely spoken in business and tourism sector. Nepali is official language, and there are many ethnic Burmo Tibetan languages in hilly area, and the Maithili, Bhojpuri, and others are spoken in southern plains. Also, Hindi is widely understood and used with the Indian tourists. The currency is Nepalese rupees. As I said, the climatic condition varies on the elevation. So if you are right down in the south, it's tropical, but if you are in mountains, it's Arctic conditions. Ways to get into Nepal, obviously there is no direct flight from UK, so you'll have to use from either Middle Eastern or Indian or some of the Far Eastern carriers. Most of them go through the Middle East, like Qatar, Etihad. I can see the Etihad here, and Oman here, Emirates, and you can go with the Air India via India. Then, if you want to backtrack a little bit, there is a choice with the Thai International, Singapore Airlines, and 3 from China: China Airlines, China Eastern, China Southern, and you can use Korean Air as well. And there is obviously line is connected with India, so you can see there is a land border, and there is quite a lot of entry point: Nepalganj, Bhairawa, Birganj, Janakpur, Kankarbitta, and then there are 2 borders actively operated from the northern side. Right, around 29,000 Brits have visited Nepal this year from January to June. We expect that to go up significantly because September, October, November is a high season. So we expect to be around 70, 80, I would say, for this year. And obviously our Excellency already said that we're going to aim for over 100,000 for next year. The over 50% of tourists come to Nepal is for leisure. Right, as I said before, land elevation starts from 60 meters to 8,840 meters, so that allows all kind of climatic conditions. So it's in very short span of area, you can have a Arctic to tropical climates. That allows all kind of creatures, all kind of ethnic groups, all kind of fauna and flora. So you can get on north, you get like a snow leopard. On the south, we have rhino, elephants, and all kind of tropical animals. The Himalaya is one of the main attractions of Nepal. It's not just because of the scenery. It has a special type of life energy that flows in. But we look at that on a spiritual side of the Nepal when we talk about it later. It's a land of Gurkhas, and this is the only country have a living goddesses that will come up in next as well. It is most hospitable country in the world, I would say, because we had 10 years of Maoist insurgency. Almost 17,000 people were killed. Not a single tourist was harmed. There were a couple of accidents. Obviously, that's we can't avoid it, like avalanches and things like that. But all the tourists was protected by both sides, whether it's the government side or the Maoist side. So not a single tourist were harmed. Well, obviously it's a place of Buddha, so it's an ultimate place for the seekers and meditators. Places and activities. Well, in Nepal you can have all sorts of activities as everywhere in the world. Mainly usual Nepal tourism works in 2 factors. One is culture, another is adventure. Culture covers all these historical sites and World Heritage sites, and then a bit of trekking, mountaineering, and rafting. That covers on the adventure sites. But this is third sphere is coming into very much promisingly. That is the spiritual side. I'll come back to you on that one. Kathmandu, Chitwan, Dhulikhel, Lumbini, and then Everest and Annapurna region, always a popular one. World Heritage Site, there are 7 World Heritage Sites in Kathmandu Valley, and 1 in Lumbini, which is obviously approximately 280 kilometers southwest of capital. So these four are based on Hindu Shiva path like Kathmandu Darbar Square, Patan, Pashupatinath, and Changunarayan, Lumbini, Bodhanath, and Swambhunath. Right, this is the Patan Darbar Square you can see on my slide here. There are two types of architect. This city is actually built in 1600 century. The temple at the front and on pagoda style is Krishna Mandir. It was built in 1637. It's actually called the Sikhara architect by Newari architect of the time. And the rest of the palaces and temples are pagoda styles. This is a home of living goddess Kumari. It's located in Kathmandu Darbar Square. Actually, Kumari is selected from Sakya clan. There are like a committee how they select in the ancient time. They used to let the goddess roam around among the dead animal at the Mahakalatri, which is the time of the festival. There are more than 500 animals are slaughtered, and they used to keep the head, and they used to leave the little girl at night to explore and see whether she is a fearless goddess or not. And she's always kept inside this palace and this temple, I should say. And whenever they have to come out for processions, she has to be carried into the chariot and take around and take her back again. The Kumari is replaced every 7-8 years. Actually, when she hits the puberty, she comes out and the next one comes in. This is also one of the UNESCO's World Heritage Site. This is Bhaktapur. Bhaktapur is in terms of city center, the Darbar Square, it is the biggest one among the other three. All the buildings there are pagoda styles. This is also 16th century World Heritage Sites. You can explore on foot. It will probably take a day. There are actually temples in every steps, every corner. The idea of the time was nobody steps out of the divine. So even on this street, if you look at right down, you'll see some vermilion and candles lit. That was that every step, every individual living in that city should not be away from the divine. This is one of the most revered temples in the world for Hindu people. This is Pashupatinath Temple, again UNESCO World Heritage Site. You can see the fume coming on the left-hand corner. This actually cremation is happening there. The Pashupatinath Temple is considered to be the forehead of Lord Shiva. So for all those pilgrimages who is considering to go to Kailash, they should first come and take permission in Pashupatinath. This is why from Pashupanath there's Kalpanath and Muktinath, then Kailash. So anyone wishing to be in Kailash, to be at the home of Shiva, they must seek permission at Pashupatinath before they proceed for that. This is Bodhanath Stupa. Obviously, this is one of the Buddhist Vajrayana path. There are actually hundreds of stupas within Kathmandu Valley and smaller stupas and hundreds of bihars. Bihars is Buddhist monasteries. It comes from the chakra, Buddhist chakra, but obviously they will take ages to explain. But when you go to the Kathmandu, your guide will explain on these things on details. So let's move on to the next one. This is Swambhunath Stupa. Actually, there are 360 steps. It's located just about 7 kilometers west of Kathmandu city center. There are 360 steps to get to the base of the stupa. Again, it's a World Heritage Site. This is Lumbini, the birthplace of Buddha. If you know the story, actually Gautam Buddha wasn't born in his palace. The story goes like this, that one of the ants didn't want to have Siddhartha to be future king, so she wanted him to be killed. So she put a superstitious story on Maya Devi's mind that if the Siddhartha, if the Gautam borns at the palace, if she gives birth at the palace, the king will die. Obviously, she didn't want to happen that. She didn't want her husband to be dead, so she decided to go to her maternal home. And on the way, they had to stop here because obviously they couldn't go on the same day. And she gave a birth here. So you can see the remain of the Maya Devi temple, and it's obviously the new temple. There is quite a lot of development going around Lumbini. Obviously, it's not on the picture here. There are new international airport opening soon next year, and there are quite a few five-star hotels coming up. They're already in operation, 2 of them. So it's a quite vibrant and upcoming place. And there is quite a lot of gumbas and bihar built by many countries from Asia. Actually, there's one more interesting fact about that. King Ashoka came to Lumbini and erected the stone pillar. And he was the one who spread the Buddhism around Asia at that time. This is one of the southern Nepal. You can see the paddy field. The south of Nepal, the southern plains are very fertile land. The picture you're seeing here is partially side of Pokhara. The mountain on the left is Annapurna South, and the peak on your right is Macha Puchre, which is known as a fishtail. This mountain has never been climbed, so it's not permitted to climb, so it's not unclimbed. It's about 23,000 feet from sea level. So you can see, it's very close up here, from Pokhara. Actually, this river, if you go down a little bit further down through this river, there's a Byas municipality where the Ved Vyas was born and raised. He's the author of 4 Vedas and 18 Purans. With the landscape comes the ethnic culture. There are more than 100 ethnic people in Nepal, some from Tibetan origin, and some from the southern Aryan tribals. So you can see with the so many ethnic groups comes so many cultures, so many festivals, and that comes with the food. So it's a very vibrant and colorful place to be. This is Namche Bazaar. It's the last town you would find on the way to Everest. So this is quite popular for tourists. This is Mount Everest itself. This is called Sagarmatha in Nepali. Sagar means ocean, Matha means head. So it's risen from the sea. So scientifically it has been proven that when they did the fossil test and rock test, actually the Mount Everest comes from the ocean floor. So that's why the Nepali and Hindu people already knew it. They named it Sagarmatha. And now still, if you go to for the trekking, if you go to the base camp trek, you'll find these fossils and seashells on these high altitude mountains, and Everest is still rising. Parks and wildlife, obviously there are 5 wildlife safari parks, and there are quite a few conservation areas in Nepal. The Suklafat, Kositapu, Chitwan, Bake, Berdia, they are all national park. But there is one way you can go for, I think it's a Suklafat, where you can go for hunting as well. So you get the license hunting for a limited number of animals per year. Right, Chitwan is one of the major attractions in Nepal, and it's not very far from capital Kathmandu. It's about 170 kilometers south. It takes about 4 hours because of the road conditions. There are quite a lot of lodges, comfortable lodges around the national park. So you will see there elephants, one-horned rhinos, crocodile, and it's quite popular for elephant buck safaris. And they do the canoeing at the Rapti River as well, and jungle walks, bird watching. etc. This is actually the elephant breeding center in Chitwan. This is the tiger at Chitwan National Park again. Nepal has actually made tremendous progress in conservation of tiger. In last 10 years, they have doubled the population of tiger and is the first country in the world. Right, when it comes to the adventure, you cannot ignore Nepal. All these bungee jumping, paragliding, river rafting, mountaineering, ultrafly, jeep wire, cable cars. There are many things you can do. Because of the landscape, you have 28,000 feet mountain in one side, and then you go straight down 10,000, 15,000 feet below to the gorges. So it makes a perfect place for anyone who wants to go for adventure travel, whether it's walking, trekking, or mountaineering, or it could be just a cycling or leisurely walk. Right, this is the picture of Pokhara. You can see the Fewa Lake on the side here, and it's a paragliding jump from the nearby mountain there. It's called Sarangkot actually. River rafting. River rafting is quite popular in Nepal. All the rivers starts from snow glaciers, and they swirl down through the valleys and the mountains. So it makes a perfect place with the rapid from 6 to 10. It's one of the most exciting sport for if you know the canoeing and river rafting. So most of the Americans, they come here after Colorado. They prefer Potecosi or Trisuli. So mountaineering, they're actually passing one of the pass in Annapurna region. So it is not a mountaineering, it's a trekking. So this is Yak. Some people locally refer as a mountain truck because this is the only vehicle available to carry loads into the remote villages and towns in the mountains. Right, you can see another picture of trekkers going through the snow mountains. There are quite a lot of new tours and new programs introduced since the Visit Nepal 2020 announcement. You can see quite a lot of program based in Western Nepal, which is pretty much untouched up to now. So there are Dolpo circuit. It's going to be all camping trek if you are going to the Dolpo area on this one. And the recent one is actually Mithila tour in Janakpur as well, which is quite popular for Hindu tourists. And we can see there's quite a lot of new programs, new areas coming up than the usual. If you have seen the program from any tour operators, you'll probably not see these ones very often. Right, coming to the Western Nepal. Western Nepal is still pretty much untouched, less populated, and the lands is very pristine. So if you are looking for a spiritual tour or meditations, or trekking, this is probably the best upcoming destinations. So there are quite a lot of monasteries when you pass through the Mogu, Dolpa on these high altitude mountains. There are still monks meditating in the cave for 10 years, 15 years, barely eating any food. So it's quite an interesting place to be. The other picture, this is taken during the dry season, which is usually from March to May. This is the West Nepal, one of the valley. You can see this, the rivers. It's very pristine and calm because it's taken during the winter time. So that's where a lot of people prefer to do, rafting, and even sometimes they do the camping on the riversides. This is Rara Lake. It's very upcoming, popular destination in Nepal now. You'll have to fly to Nepalganj, and if you want to be there in one day, it's possible. It's because of the road condition, it's not really that convenient. It takes quite some time. You'll have to use the four-wheel drive for this. There are 3 hotels recently opened alongside the army barrack. Otherwise, the population is very less. It's still very pristine, and it's a beautiful place. I was there in 1994, 95. At that time, there was no single hotel, so nothing around that time. So we had to walk like 3 days to get there. But now, at least, there are roads. In Nepal, the hotels are pretty much, you'll get it from 5-star luxury to budget hotels to the homestay, etc. All the big hotels do offer conference facilities, restaurants, bars, casinos. There are like 14, 15 good quality 5-star hotels now with all the international facilities. You'll get just to give you a few names, like we have Hyatt, Crown Plaza, Sheraton is opening next year, Marriott is already there, and there are quite a few boutique hotels like a Dwarika. Again, it's a 5-star hotel, fantastic with wood carvings and etc. And this is a Gandruk village in West Nepal, so if you prefer to stay in a home, it is possible. It's very beautiful, scenic place, but you'll have to book it in advance. The homestay is quite popular at the moment in Nepal. Well, you can see the Mount Annapurna at the back there. Right, Nepal is always popular with the religious and spiritual connections. When we talk about religion, religious and spiritual, they actually complete two separate aspects. Religious trips is based on people going to the shrines, going to the stupa, going to the temple, and they want to enhance their belief and connections. Whereas spirituality has nothing to do with this. They are more in tune with the energies. Obviously in Hinduism there are like 5-7 bodies. You're probably thinking this physical body is the only body, but on this yogic science, they have 7 types of bodies. So mind body, you got a memory body, and you got energy bodies. So to align these bodies to the cosmos, you have to go through this spiritual process, which is meditation and yoga. And that is one of the very, very promising market coming up in Nepal. Because of the locations and altitude, these mountains lures the people with that full of these life energies. Activities program, you'll find almost everything apart from the beaches in Nepal. So, as you would expect, Nepal is one of the few places on earth that got every type of climate, every type of activities. It's not just confined in Kathmandu Valley. You can go outside the country and still have a good quality hotels, conferences, meeting and incentives, etc. Right, how do people see Nepal around the world? You can see the TripAdvisor in UK ranked Nepal 19th among the 25th, Kathmandu 19th among the 25th top destination for 2019, ranked 6th on National Geographic Traveler in 2016. So Nepal pretty much stands very well when it comes to tourism sector. So in South Asia, it's always been in the top. Right, some familiar faces. So Prince Harry went there and spent 2 weeks in Nepal after the earthquake. And David Beckham was there in his mission to 7 continents. He flew directly from Australia to Kathmandu. He played football in Bhaktapur when he was there I think he was just there for a few hours on the day. Right, I'm coming almost end to my presentations. Now I'd like to ask you, have you thought, whatever you've done in your life, you may be successful in your business, you may have protected yourself, you may have a social status, you may have a lot of money, whatever you do, actually that leads life into happiness. So you've done it to get the happiness. So Nepal is the only place where these monks have done for many, many years. It's still been practiced. As I said, all these big civilizations in the world, like Inca, Egyptian, Roman, Persian, dissipated. But 10,000 years old Sanatan way of life still flourishes in Nepal. So you can have this lifetime experience just being there and mixing with this nature. The life energies in Himalayas, that's been proven by these monks and gurus, and even it's quite popular with the trekkers from the West. When you once walk to these life, you will keep coming and keep coming. You may be going to Thailand and enjoy hot times there, but when you come back, you are taunted with thoughts. You may be relaxing on the beach for 7 days, 10 days. When you come back, you still feel tired. But the trekkers, the meditators, been to Nepal, who spend there 10 days, 15 days, walking all day, probably the muscle is asking, why am I there? Why am I here pain? But at the same time, they are connected with these life energies and keeps them happy, and they are full of joy and ecstasy. So if you are looking for this happiness, you should be looking higher. And there is no place higher than Nepal. With this note, obviously, I would like to conclude. But before I go, I work in Nepal and I work in London. Many of you already know this. Tours.com. It's a destination management company that provides, obviously, all the land services in Nepal. So whatever your requirement is, whether it's just a transfer or just a hotel, to a 10, 15 days treks or 20 days, Everest base camp trip. We arrange everything. As you know, in travel trade, you need to have this logistic in different places with your contacts and everything. I'm here in London, and my teams are in Kathmandu. We have our own vehicles, our own setups. So if you need any help, you can always be in touch with me. Right, so that's all. Thank you very much indeed. There will be a video coming up next, just to give you a glimpse of what Nepal is really about. Thank you very much.
LondonNepalNews.com